I'd just like to introduce the panelists all up on the thing. We have Afnan Ahmed, who's Director of Technology Strategy and Architecture at Telenor. We have Thomas Hodel, Senior RAN Expert at A1 Austria. And Sherit Mohammed, Senior RAN Architecture and Spectrum Strategy Expert. And finally, Mina Nicola from Sales at Rakuten Symphony.
I think I am the last.
Okay. So thank you, gentlemen. I think this is actually really one of the key areas where I think AI is actually starting to take sort of leaps and bounds with the tying of AI and RAN, and a lot of the initiatives that have actually started in terms of the AI-RAN Alliance, for example. I'd just like to sort of, we've really got a brains trust here in terms of what it takes to really manage a RAN network here, and even a supplier that has quite deep experience in terms of actually working with a specific mobile operator. So just sort of drilling on, there are already many aspects of machine learning in the RAN already. What are you seeing as the distinct next stage of adoption in AI? Is it just more of the same, or just more volume, or is there a sort of distinct change in direction that we need to go here? Afnan, if I can come to you first on that question, what are the distinctions in terms of what next in AI in the RAN?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to attend FutureNet again. To the distinct part of what distinct elements are we looking for when it comes to AI RAN, I think one distinct element that we are looking for is openness. Maybe openness is an overused word, maybe programmability, softwareization, disaggregation of hardware and software. You can call it whatever you want, but that is a key for us. RAN is, as a mobile operator, RAN is the biggest CAPEX, OPEX driver. And having more programmability there so that we can maybe enable growth using network. I've attended some of the sessions that I'm sure all of you attended as well, the keynote session in the morning, using network as a service, network as code. Those are the things, those are the distinct elements that come to mind. And that's at least what we are looking for when it comes to this AI wave in the future. So yeah, let's bring AI, but let's also make the networks more open and innovative.
And Mina, if I can come to you next, you wear kind of two hats, really, sort of both from Rakuten Symphony as a vendor, but you're very, very obviously close knowledge and drivers from Rakuten Mobile in Japan, and a number of operators. What are you seeing as what are you seeing as the key sort of changes or changes that you're already seeing within both yourself as a vendor and as an operator?
Yeah, thank you, Francis. I think the industry have been evolving around, as you mentioned, machine learning algorithm, which we call it the traditional rule-based automation, closed-loop optimization, or self-optimizing network for a quite long time now. And that have delivered a lot of operation efficiencies and benefits. But what we are looking here now is fundamentally different. And we at Rakuten are looking at, let's say, three aspects around that. The first one is AI in the architecture. And the second one is AI in the RIC, or RAN Intelligent Controller and applications. And the third one is the autonomous network. If I look into the AI in the architecture, we at Rakuten are trying to look into how we can bring the AI into the vRAN software stack itself. So working with models deep down into layer 1 and layer 2 of the software stack that can bring efficiencies in, let's say, spectral efficiencies that have direct impact on customer experience. Now, the second one, we are also seeing the innovation in the application for the RIC and how AI is looking into traffic pattern, network stats, performance and fault, and drive or find anomalies, and let's say coverage compensation algorithms and other innovative AI applications that can sit onto the RIC platform. And the third one, which is the autonomous network operation. And let's say this is where we see the work of AI comes with agents, with the whole package of the autonomous network operation, like in Japan, for example, reaching level 4 of autonomous network across various high-value scenarios. So we see the evolution The operator is now not only reactive troubleshooting, but setting policies and setting guardrails for the AI to work within. So we are not firefighters anymore, but like policy setters and looking to the future.
And Thomas, what are you seeing at A1 in terms of, is it a change? Is it an evolution?
Well, first of all, we as an operator, we are not looking into more AI, more ML. We are looking more currently in how actually we can scale this in our operations. So in today's world, I mean, we have seen AI, so to say, embedded in current sound solutions and vendor tools, but the real bottleneck in our what we see very often is the fragmentation of the different tools, of the data asset. And first of all, I also need to make the distinction between, so to say, what is this within domain automation, so the AI in the RAN, that's mainly vendor-driven, that's natural evolution. But the thing that is more interesting for us is, so to say, this cross-domain AI, including RAN, but not only. And what's changing now, in my opinion, are two things. So first of all, the data and the APIs become shared infrastructure, so it's not anymore part of specific as a add-on of specific projects, but it's part of shared infrastructure. And even the bigger shift nowadays, or change it, AI in RAN, but actually also in other domains, it's actually moving from generating insights to driving execution, and I think that's a big shift, and that's also a big mindset shift. So what we are thinking, and what is our, so to say, our design principle, we need to think about how we can build closed loop systems from day one, to think about this from day one. So, yeah.
Okay. And Sherit, to sort of come to you last but not least, in terms of VMO2, how are you seeing, is it a fundamental shift in AI, or is it more of really the same question as Thomas? Is it an evolution, or are we seeing a big change here?
Thanks, Francis. First of all, within version media 02, what we are thinking is we should have an overarching architecture for AI across the network, for the network, and in the network. And within this, we come to the work which we are working on, AI for RAN. And they come either AI for RAN as an operational and higher layer, or in lower layer implementation like layer 1, layer 2 software. Now, what we observe is there is AI or machine learning work have been done since several years. What we recently trying to see is in the lower layers, there is a nascent work of which sometimes I would say it is a feature, and we will trial this and validate how it come. And then what we need is, and this is a point maybe I will repeat what mentioned by Afnan, is the openness. So there is two important pillars to maximize the value. Is you have more openness in what's happening in the lower layers, and how is vendors opening their system via APIs for a multi-vendor implementation. Another important thing is the data and the data strategy.
Sort of moving on, I mentioned it wouldn't be telco if we didn't have an organization trying to organize AI and RAN, and we've got the AI RAN Alliance, a lot of some early exciting work going on in that area. From your perspective, each of you, which parts of what the AI RAN Alliance is doing are important to you? Do you see things that are more important for you? And particularly when you're talking about things like AI for RAN, AI on RAN, AI and RAN, for example. What's important today, and I guess what are you excited about in terms of where that could take us in the future? Sherit, if I come to you first on that one, where's the thinking in VMO2?
So all are quite important. However, I would say as a priority for sure, AI for RAN comes at first with a certain level of maturity. Other two flavors are quite early. It requires other infrastructure readiness and use case, and the whole ecosystem is still early phase. The beauty about AI Alliance was to bringing many vendor side, operator side, and documenting and showcasing some use cases. AI for RAN is a key because it can bring the operational efficiency, which is one key pillar we are focusing on, and even then some other performance if you go more deep, like the near use case like channel estimation and all the CSI related topics in 5G and future 6G. This will be a real important.
Mina, if I come to you, again, what are you seeing both as a vendor and as an operator in terms of relevance of the AI?
I think the problem statements that are being discussed are valid in the AI RAN Alliance. I think we need this kind of forums to converge into the ideas. From our side, we look into AI for RAN and also embedding AI into the RAN architecture. But the most important point is that we want to have the use cases decoupled from the underlying edge infrastructure. So the moment you tie the use case to the infrastructure, you go into a vendor lock-in, which we want to avoid in the AI RAN Alliance.
And if kind of building on that, and come to you, Thomas and Sherit, is that what do you see as the key differences in terms of the way AI RAN is going? We've gone through a whole series of organizations, Open RAN, for example, MEC back in the day. How do we learn from those experiences in terms of telco? What are the key things that you see, particularly in terms of making this a success as opposed to a partial, the usual sort of telco not quite getting the advantages that they hoped from the previous initiatives? Sherit, if I come to you first on that.
Thanks. Interesting question. I'll just touch upon the AI RAN Alliance first. As an operator group, we are not part of AI RAN Alliance formally yet. That does not mean that we are not following up what is happening there. So we are, through NVIDIA and through our other important sort of supplier partners, we follow what is happening there. What I like about AI RAN Alliance is that it is actually following and adapting the Open RAN Alliance architecture. So what I initially said about disaggregation of hardware and software, cloud RAN environments and all of that, I would like to second what Mina said. If the output is somehow linked to the underlying infrastructure, then I think we get into a vendor lock-in. Then I think we will go the wrong way. But right now, as far as we see it, it's going in the right direction. All three aspects that you mentioned, AI for RAN, AI in RAN, and AI and RAN, if I got it right, I think they're all important. AI and RAN becomes, AI for RAN for me is hygiene factor. So channel estimation was mentioned, beamforming is mentioned, there's very good energy efficiency is mentioned, although at least Telenor being headquartered in the Nordics, we have the luxury of a climate which is favorable and energy prices which are very, very low. So energy efficiency alone as a business case does not cut it, but of course it's important. So it's hygiene factor, all of it. But when it comes to AI and RAN, that's also very interesting. So if there's talk of creation of this AI grid, as it is called, and once you start moving inference towards the edge, if you have AI capable infrastructure, I'm not saying if it's coming from vendor A or vendor B, you have different flavors of it, but if you have inference towards the edge, I think it's very good if you can co-locate a RAN workload with something else. So if you can solve it in a good, secure, sustainable, sovereign way, why not? So it's very good. But overall, when it comes to your initial question about AI RAN Alliance, as long as all these alliances and organizations converge, it's very good. I don't think the industry needs one more, which is creating its own standards and specifications. It's,
And Mina, coming to you, you became very much the poster child for Open RAN, for example. What are you seeing in terms of Rakuten's experience with?
Francis. So, Rakuten is a pioneer in the ORAN or Open RAN industry, deploying the Open RAN technology across tens of thousands of sites. And we think that the foundational success of, or the principles of success for Open RAN applies to the principle of success of AI RAN. So it's fundamentally, it's a question of openness, to echo what Afnan was saying. And that stimulates a wider ecosystem of innovation. because the mobile operator needs to have the freedom of choice of choosing the supplier in the AI stack that they want to work with today, and also to have the door open for the innovators in the future. So openness is the key concept that we are seeking here behind the AI RAN. And to echo also the point of convergence, take an example of the radio intelligent controller. So the interfaces of the RIC are being defined in the O-RAN alliance, while the applications and the use cases are being discussed in the AI RAN alliance. So we see both systems are converging into one.
And Thomas, if I come to you last, how are you seeing this, the organization?
I think, although it might sound boring for this, but I think we are quite aligned here on this panel. So again, from an operator perspective, we are not part of the alliance, not yet. I think it's important, it's valuable. Of course, it's problematic if it creates only documents, so to say. But at the end, so to say, our benchmark is how does this actually reduce integration efforts? How does it speed up deployments? So essentially, it comes back to, interoperability of APIs, of common data models, and so in a nutshell, it should, so to say, reduce the risk for operators and not create new dependencies. So that's how I formulate. But I think it's quite aligned here.
That's fine. It wouldn't be an AI conversation if we didn't get onto the subject of agents. As Appledore Research, we've done some analysis recently, which is really sort of showing that really we're at a very, very early stage in terms of agents. Yes, there are proofs of concepts and very specifically tightly bound agents, but we're certainly very at the early stages. I'd just like to sort of sense from all of you in terms of what is your ambition and what do you see as the sort of key need to increase the penetration of agents in your organization. Where are you seeing? I'll come back to you, Mina, to start with on that one. Where are you seeing agents start to take shape?
Thank you, Francis. So, looking at the closed-loop automation difference from the agents or the agentic, it's like day and night. So the first one, if that, then that, while the other one is reasoning across multi-step tasks. Now, while we in Rakuten developed our tools to build and orchestrate agents, and we are using that in Rakuten Mobile and seeing the efficiencies, I want to focus on a different aspect, which is how do we build a trust with this agent that you can trust the agent to run or provide an output? And building the trust, we look into 3 stages looking into that. So the first one is, let's say, testing. You build an agent and you provide it with a simple low-risk task that you know the answer to it. So you monitor the performance, you measure the success and the hallucination, and you build a track record of the agent performance so that you can build the trust to go to the second stage, which is the orchestration. Now, we have been, as we mentioned in the beginning, we have been spending years driving policies or writing policies for the optimization of our network. And we don't want the agent to come and rip all of that apart. Rather, we build the guardrails or the envelope where the agent can work and orchestrate and pick the right policy or the right RApp to operate. And the evolution or the last step is where the agent can write its own policy or write the software code for an RApp, for example. And the infrastructure behind that is explainability. So you need to have the agent explaining the why behind each and every answer so that you can build the trust from low risk, high visibility task up to complex, let's say, cross-domain workflows and orchestration.
And Afnan, if I come to you, actually in our preparation call, you brought out something which I think is really key. You're using agents to innovate rather than just simply make better operations. Could you share us some of your experience in terms of agents as an innovation vector, I guess?
Yeah, thanks for that. First of all, your research is correct to a point that agents are not as widely deployed yet. I agree with what was said. Agents are the future. Agentic architecture is what we would like to, around not only in the radio network, but everywhere, we would like to install and deploy. But what we have actually done in our Telenor is operating a small company which is in the Nordics, in Norway, which is providing private network connectivity on the ships, cruise liners, and so on. And there we actually have deployed agents which are tuning the network in the middle of the ocean. So connectivity on the ship is of course, there are radio elements to it, but there is weather elements, there are other elements which are a bit dynamic in nature. And then of course, ship is a bit disconnected. So everything has to be autonomous. So it's push-to-talk connectivity for the crew, it's Wi-Fi connectivity for the passengers, it's other kind of machine-to-machine communication. All of that, somehow, if we have agents there which are continuously fine-tuning and optimizing that. And that is very much in operation. It's, if anyone is interested, of course, I'll be very happy to introduce that platform. But like you said, agents as once you have an agentic framework, and I think I heard some very interesting talks in the morning as well, agent to agent as well as supervisor agents. Mm-hmm. I think if you can explain the why, and if you can get that ecosystem work, I think innovation will also become faster. The whole cycle will become faster. So we have, I agree with your research. All the suppliers are telling that agents are just around the corner. We have actually built these agents on the shipping platform based on open source code. So it's with partners again, but it's very open source. So now I understand that the same platforms are being deployed on oil rigs. So to do the same. So in the middle of the ocean, but it's a private network application.
And I guess it would, as I say, it's really easy to talk about technology and use cases, but I guess the last question I'd like to ask the panel is in terms of what is the key business case for AI in the RAN, and sort of just to sort of discuss, do you have a business case? Is it still prior in that one? Is it operational, for example? And Thomas, if I could come to you first in terms of what are you seeing as the key business case for A1?
Don't want to disappoint anyone, but I don't believe there is a business case for a single use case. In general, we talked about this. I heard this in the morning also. We always talk about capex and opex efficiency. We are talking about potential new revenues that we can generate. We are talking about network improvements, but essentially it's very hard to isolate the use cases financially. So I don't know, when I've been through this with our management several times. You're talking about the use case, and there are so many assumptions, and at the end you're saying, yeah, this is improving my network quality, I will be able to increase my NPS by 5, and this is generating revenue. It's not working out. So I think it's more a kind of how can I frame it, a structural use case, in the sense that what is our main issue? Our main issue is actually that is our complexity. So for example, when I recently talked to the head of the network operations center, so when we launch a new service, I need to employ additional people. I need to deploy an additional tool. And what AI should help us is actually to make this more scalable. For example, if we deploy an anomaly detection algorithm in the RAN for Croatia, why not to use this across all the countries? If you have this anomaly detection in the RAN, why not deploy this for core, for transport? So it's all about actually the scalability of this use case. It again comes to trusted data, the governance, which is I could talk forever about this. The governance is, for example, very important. I recently spoke also to the head of NOC, and more or less about this famous dark NOC use case. Mm-hmm. And he's very happy to support it. Don't quote me, please. But just call me when it's done. I currently don't have the time to focus on that. So and I think it was also mentioned in this morning. It sometimes really needs a top-down approach to change things. And yeah.
So, Sherit, from your perspective, what is the key business case for VMO2?
If you just think about that one small business case for AI RAN and that's it, it's misleading. But if we take one step back and look on a higher objective of our operation, simplified operation, new revenue stream, improved performance. So if I just came out from a traditional RAN, cloudified our network in a horizontal one cloud, I started to enable AI as a capability across the whole architecture, starting from the intent as an orchestrator towards the SMO or the future SMO and RIC as our apps that communicates with the lower layer. It's in a synchronized way, and it's cloudified, so automated. So again, at the same time, I can enable AI and RAN, where I can have a new revenue stream from the GPUs, and then I can, at the end of the day, be flexible to manage all the traffic depends. So this is how we should look at it, as a more of holistic, architecture-wise, in a multi-vendor-wise, rather than one narrow thinking.
And Mina, conscious we're standing between everybody and lunch, what are you seeing from Rakuten's perspective in terms of the business case?
Yeah, so it is, let's say it's fully in motion. We are looking into bringing AI across the entire spectrum into the architecture, as we were saying, the vRAN software stack, up to RIC intelligent controller, and up to the autonomous network to achieve level 4 autonomy in multiple high-value scenario. For us, the main business case that we are tangibly seeing, which is the operational efficiency. For example, in Japan, we are expanding our footprint, the number of sites we are expanding, and we are keeping the operational team size exactly the same. So for us, this is the business case, having an operational efficiency with the scalability of the footprint.
And Afnan, in conclusion, where are you seeing the key?
Yeah,
I think the innovation thing is actually really interesting.
Innovation I talked about, and I'm between lunch and everyone else, so I'll keep it short. I think it has already been said. Efficiency, of course, is a hygiene factor, like I said, but efficiency alone is not going to cut it. These investments need to somehow enable growth, like I said, network as code, network as service, programmability, flexibility, somehow, so that we can enable this whole industry with growth and new services. And then if we can also add a flavor of better customer experience with AI somehow. So that I think a combination of that would cut the business case for it. And that's also our vision. Just efficiency alone, it's if you don't do it, like I said, it's hygiene factor. But I now see that clock is blinking and we are out of time and it's lunch soon, so I'll stop there.
Okay, that's perfect. So I'd like to thank you. Thank you, Sherit. Thank you, Mina, Afnan, and Thomas for a great session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.